On screen, they always appear polished and captivating, but behind the scenes, many top Hollywood stars have personal habits that leave their colleagues both amused and bewildered. From neglecting daily routines to bizarre beauty secrets, many behind-the-scenes stories have surprised, even haunted, those involved. In this video, you'll discover 21 A-list stars and their little-known hidden sides, things rarely seen on camera. If you find these behind-the-scenes stories fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next interesting videos. Sandra Bullock. One item in her makeup bag always surprises many. A tube of Preparation H, often placed alongside her high-end skincare products. And sometimes it's the first thing she uses. The Oscar-winning actress reportedly learned this trick while filming Miss Congeniality, when a makeup artist noticed her eyes were slightly puffy in the morning and gave her what she thought was an expensive eye cream. Only later did she discover it was actually a medical cream intended for a completely different purpose, much to her amusement at the coincidence. However, thanks to its soothing and anti-inflammatory properties, it works similarly to many high-end eye creams, making the under-eye area look fresher. Since then, Bullock has considered this her personal beauty secret. Her unconventional approach once caused her team a rush before the 2010 Academy Awards when an assistant accidentally forgot to bring a familiar product. The team had to quickly search various stores to buy it in time for the event. Since then, makeup artists often discreetly label their products to avoid misunderstandings, while Bullock sees it all as an interesting story, even humorously sharing that sometimes radiant looks come from simple, unexpected secrets. Shia LaBeouf. It wasn't just the tank and fury that conveyed the harsh realities of the battlefield. His preparation for the role also contributed to the unique atmosphere on set. During filming, LaBeouf shared that he avoided showering for extended periods to better embody the image of a soldier in the context of World War II, where living conditions were far from easy. Initially, his co-stars, such as Brad Pitt, Jon Bernthal, and Michael Pena, respected this approach. However, working in the cramped space of a tank for many hours each day required them to adapt to the uncomfortable conditions. This necessitated adjustments from the crew to ensure filming progress was not affected. Some behind-the-scenes stories reveal that personal hygiene items were sometimes provided as a way to improve the working environment, but LaBeouf viewed this as a factor that could diminish the authenticity he pursued. He continued to maintain his rigorous approach to acting, believing that experiences close to reality would make the character's emotions more convincing on screen. Previously, in other projects, his working style also sparked debate as he maintained the character's psychological state even when the cameras stopped rolling. In the Elastic Heart video, the high-intensity work process in the dance sequences also required his co-stars to quickly adapt to the high-pressure environment, although everything ultimately went according to plan. Such stories make Shia LaBeouf one of the most controversial figures in Hollywood, where the line between dedication to art and extreme acting methods is always a hotly debated topic. Robert Pattinson, when portraying Edward Cullen in Twilight, chose a rather unique approach to his appearance, aiming to recreate a character that felt more timeless than modern. His signature messy hair didn't rely heavily on styling products, but was largely kept natural throughout filming to create a distinctive look. According to some behind-the-scenes accounts, the character's cold and detached demeanor was sometimes reinforced by maintaining the same costume between extended scenes, giving the impression that Edward Cullen didn't quite belong to the world around him. The costume department therefore had to prepare multiple identical versions to ensure filming wasn't interrupted when changes were needed. Kristen Stewart once stated that the entire crew gradually became accustomed to this working style, even though it sometimes created inconvenient situations on set. In action or movement scenes, Pattinson also tried to maintain the character's state to ensure consistency, rather than flexibly changing between segments, as is often the case. The makeup team often had to start earlier to adjust the appearance before filming to ensure the image was appropriate for each specific context. While somewhat unusual, this approach contributed to the unique character of the Twilight series. Years later, Pattinson looks back on this period with humor, admitting that some of his habits were quite extreme, but also a memorable experience in his career development. Jake Gyllenhaal. In a 2021 interview with Vanity Fair, he shared a rather unconventional view on bathing habits, arguing that daily showering isn't always necessary and that the human body can self-regulate over time. This statement quickly garnered attention because it contradicted common lifestyle habits. The Nightcrawler star chooses a minimalist approach to self-care, focusing on basic elements like oral hygiene and maintaining overall health, rather than relying too heavily on daily cleansing products. He believes that skin can adapt if not excessively exposed to chemical ingredients. This perspective sometimes leads those working with him on action or psychological film projects to become accustomed to his rather unique style on set. In promotional campaigns, Gyllenhaal is often described as someone who is very focused on his role, maintaining his character's state even when the cameras stop rolling. Some behind-the-scenes stories reveal that the costume and makeup departments sometimes have to work continuously to ensure the character's image remains consistent, especially in long or intense scenes. Following the interview, the media and social networks have been buzzing with discussions about his views, opening up many different perspectives on the lifestyles of celebrities. However, Jake Gyllenhaal has maintained his stance and continues to pursue his personal approach to health and acting, remaining largely unchanged by the differing opinions. Kristen Stewart has garnered attention for her natural lifestyle and image, particularly in her approach to self-care. The Twilight actress doesn't prioritize elaborate beauty routines, instead favoring comfort and authenticity over the glamorous standards often seen in the entertainment industry. Her fashion style clearly reflects this, with a relaxed approach, sometimes repeating outfits or maintaining the same style for days in a row. For Stewart, this isn't sloppiness, but rather a way to express her personality, helping her avoid the pressure of always appearing perfect in public. During promotional tours, her team often prepares convenient products like dry shampoo or wet wipes to suit her busy schedule, although she doesn't always use them all. This highlights the difference between her self-care choices and the familiar standards of Hollywood. Stewart once shared that maintaining a flawless appearance all the time is unrealistic, and she wanted to respond to that pressure by living true to herself. For her, authenticity is more important than meeting external image expectations. While this style sometimes sparks controversy, it has become Kristen Stewart's signature in Hollywood, where personal image is often tightly controlled. She chose a different path, maintaining her freedom and not being bound by rigid standards. Bradley Cooper is known for his disciplined daily routine, especially when it comes to personal hygiene. According to some behind-the-scenes accounts, Cooper typically starts his day by cleansing himself, combining it with high-intensity physical activity to maintain energy, and ends the day with a relaxing routine before resting. On the surface, this gives the impression of someone who pays close attention to neatness and personal hygiene. However, some sources suggest that he doesn't rely heavily on common deodorants, believing instead in his body's natural self-regulation abilities if not overly affected by chemical ingredients. This perspective sometimes creates interesting differences with those he works with. Jennifer Lawrence, his co-star in Silver Linings Playbook, once shared humorous anecdotes about experiments related to his personal care routine on set, contributing to a more relaxed working atmosphere. Meanwhile, during promotional campaigns, Lady Gaga is known for paying close attention to her image in front of the camera, often adjusting her posture and camera angles for the best effect. This makes the filming process a harmonious coordination of lighting, movement, and each person's individual style. Despite many stories surrounding his personal habits, Bradley Cooper is still considered a professional actor, always focused on his work and meticulously prepared for each role. The differences in his personal life largely reflect the diversity of lifestyles among Hollywood stars, rather than creating a real obstacle in the working environment. Tom Cruise. In his fully equipped personal trailer, He's said to maintain a dedicated storage system for his special skincare products. And that's just the beginning of the story. The Mission Impossible star once explored a skincare treatment inspired by traditional Japanese methods, using natural ingredients to cleanse and improve skin texture, and he pursued it with serious investment, not hesitating to spend money on each experience. Victoria Beckham's interest in this method seems to have further solidified his belief, to the point of preparing specialized storage equipment to maintain product quality between uses. Some spa experts describe it as a uniquely relaxing experience, where participants remain almost completely still throughout the treatment, something not everyone can easily adapt to. This method is said to aid in cleansing and resurfacing the skin thanks to natural enzymes, although many argue that similar effects can be achieved with more common products. What makes the story noteworthy is that Crowe, known for his tight control over his public image, is not afraid to experiment with unconventional treatments. Whether this is his secret to maintaining his handsome appearance or simply a personal choice, his appearances on screen always leave a strong impression. Marilyn Monroe's image is always associated with her captivating beauty, vibrant red lipstick, and the signature scent of Chanel No. 5 that she often used before bed. However, behind that perfect exterior, Monroe had quite her own views on body care, especially limiting the use of deodorants due to concerns about their chemical ingredients. Instead, she prioritized naturalness, even when wearing iconic outfits in front of the camera. The pressures of fame, along with mental health issues such as anxiety and insomnia, sometimes affected her daily routines. During certain stressful periods, Monroe was said to frequently experience prolonged fatigue and little change in her daily habits, which somewhat impacted the working atmosphere around her. During the filming of Some Like It Hot, her co-star Tony Curtis made controversial comments about their working experience, particularly in close-up scenes. To ensure efficient filming, director Billy Wilder adjusted the shooting schedule to the morning, a time considered more favorable, and the crew also implemented various solutions such as increased ventilation and the use of subtle fragrances to create a pleasant atmosphere throughout the filming process. Russell Crowe. While his Oscar statuette is proudly displayed, behind-the-scenes stories about the actor's lifestyle often surprise many. The star of Gladiator is known for his thorough immersion in his roles, even adjusting his daily life to suit the characters. And with historically significant or harsh roles, this meant maintaining a dusty appearance throughout filming. In Gladiator, some crew members recounted that when he moved, the dust from his costume and body was sometimes clearly visible in the air. Extras were given extra support to adapt to the working conditions, and Joaquin Phoenix reportedly prioritized using his own space to ensure comfort. Director Ridley Scott subtly offered suggestions, but Crowe defended his choice by arguing for the authenticity of an ancient warrior. When working on Cinderella Man, Renee Zellweger reportedly limited close-up shots, hoping to maintain the character's natural emotions. Several stunt doubles also shared that they needed time to adjust to this unique working environment. In Noah, Crowe continued a similar approach, believing the story's setting didn't fit in with modern conveniences. Jennifer Connelly maintained high concentration during the scenes, while Emma Watson only appeared in necessary segments. These stories later became a source of humor on entertainment shows, with Joan Rivers turning them into witty commentary. Crowe himself seemed quite surprised by the attention, and many in the industry commented that his after-project parties became increasingly more understated. Britney Spears. Having conquered major stages around the world, her image has always been associated with explosive energy and allure. However, behind the scenes, some stories offer a different perspective that surprises many. In 2011, former bodyguard Fernando Flores filed a lawsuit, alleging that her personal habits were quite relaxed, including a lack of attention to basic personal care. Spears' representatives later denied all these allegations. An incident that once attracted media attention occurred in 2004, when she was photographed going barefoot into a restroom at a Los Angeles gas station and then emerging without appearing bothered. These images quickly spread, and became a frequently mentioned detail in popular culture. During her Las Vegas tour, some of her colleagues shared that they had to be flexible and adaptable to unexpected situations backstage. Dancers adjusted their formations to ensure harmony during performances, while the backstage crew focused on optimizing costume changes and implementing quick solutions like dry shampoo to keep everything ready before each of her stage appearances. Megan Fox. In behind-the-scenes stories from Hollywood, she has often been the subject of rumors surrounding her personal habits, making her real-life image just as controversial as her on-screen roles. The Transformers star has openly shared that she isn't overly strict about certain daily routines, but these statements were quickly misinterpreted and spread into conflicting narratives. These speculations gradually created an image of a rather liberal lifestyle, different from the meticulous standards the entertainment industry often associates with stars. Brian Austin Green, her ex-husband, is sometimes mentioned in stories related to balancing family life, although the results weren't always as desired. On set, some unofficial accounts suggest that the crew had to flexibly adjust the work process to suit her schedule, from makeup preparation to costume changes between scenes. Some assistants commented that this could create some pressure, but it's not uncommon in a professional entertainment production environment. As for Brian Austin Green, at one point he was said to have tried various ways to balance his family life, from gentle reminders to rearranging his living space. However, Megan Fox maintained her own perspective and didn't change much in the face of surrounding opinions. Over time, these stories gradually became part of her controversial public image. Johnny Depp, from the very beginning of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, chose to immerse himself deeply in his role, believing that a true pirate wouldn't be overly concerned with neatness in his daily life. Therefore, throughout filming, he maintained a rugged style both on screen and off. For months, his hair remained almost entirely natural, his personal grooming was simplified to suit the character's image, and his costumes retained a rugged look from the very beginning of filming. Orlando Bloom, who frequently appeared in scenes with him, reportedly had his assistant prepare some perfume for him to use lightly during breaks between scenes. The costume department gradually adapted to this approach, even stating that this imperfection contributed to the authenticity of Captain Jack. However, the costume storage space sometimes needed increased ventilation to ensure a more comfortable working environment. Years later, when they collaborated on The Tourist, Angelina Jolie reportedly handled the situation subtly by preparing mints and mouthwash, cleverly handing them to Depp between scenes. Despite the discreet and natural approach, these efforts didn't seem to cause a noticeable change in his habits. Brad Pitt, often referred to as a Hollywood sex symbol, has a personal care routine quite different from the average. Instead of using common deodorants, he reportedly prefers natural mixtures like apple cider vinegar and lemon juice, stemming from his belief in limiting exposure to harsh chemicals and protecting his skin in his own way. His cleansing habits are also minimalist, often opting for quick solutions like wet wipes instead of traditional skincare steps. Not only that, he also employs rather unique hair care methods, using familiar ingredients like beer for shine and clay to cleanse the scalp. This approach is believed to be related to his concern for the environment, as well as his desire to minimize the use of industrial products in his daily life. Angelina Jolie is said to have been quite patient with the distinctive scent from these methods, until it became too noticeable during her pregnancy. Their children have also had very natural and humorous reactions to their father's habits, sometimes turning them into little jokes revolving around soap and perfume in the house. However, Brad Pitt seems to find these moments endearing and continues his lifestyle, even adding ingredients like baking soda to his increasingly unique personal care product line. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis once gained attention for sharing their minimalist views on family bathing habits, particularly their approach to children's hygiene. The couple argued that daily soaping isn't always necessary, but rather should be flexible based on activity levels and actual needs. These views quickly spread on social media, sparking debate as they emphasize that bathing is only truly necessary when the body shows clear signs of need. This led many parents to offer differing perspectives on the boundary between natural care methods and modern hygiene standards. For his part, Ashton Kutcher stated that he prioritizes simple personal hygiene habits, limiting reliance on products with many chemical ingredients and keeping things at the most basic level. Mila Kunis also agrees with this approach, arguing that the body and environment are sometimes much better at self-regulation than many people think. Their two children grew up in an environment where their parents tried to avoid imposing too many rigid rules, instead emphasizing flexibility and practical observation in daily life. However, subsequent professional opinions also stressed that maintaining basic hygiene remains crucial, especially for young children. While controversial, their views partly reflect a broader trend in the entertainment industry, where many celebrities choose a minimalist lifestyle, reducing reliance on traditional consumer habits, even if it doesn't always receive public approval. Julia Roberts has garnered attention for sharing her rather unique views on personal life, particularly her preference for a simple lifestyle and limiting the use of excessive commercial hair care products. According to Roberts, the human body has the ability to naturally regulate itself and doesn't always need excessive intervention. The star of Pretty Woman chooses a lifestyle close to nature, maintaining basic habits and sometimes using natural products like essential oils instead of synthetic options. For her, this is a way to maintain balance and reduce dependence on chemicals in daily life. Julia Roberts' signature hairstyle is also often mentioned as part of this philosophy. She has shared that retaining the natural oils makes her hair look softer and more natural, rather than constantly cleansing or styling it elaborately. Hairstylists working with her often need to adjust their techniques to suit the natural style she pursues. During the filming of Eat, Pray, Love, some crew members initially thought she was adopting an immersive approach to suit the character's simple and contemplative setting. However, they later realized this was simply Roberts' familiar lifestyle, both on set and in real life. This approach reflects a trend among some Hollywood stars to choose minimalism and naturalness in their personal lives, rather than chasing complex beauty standards. While it may generate mixed opinions, it has contributed to shaping Julia Roberts' unique image in the public eye. Matthew McConaughey once shared that he hadn't used deodorant in years, considering it a personal choice he was completely comfortable with. The Texas-born actor believes that the body in its most natural state has its own unique appeal, like an irreplaceable personal signature, and dissenting opinions don't seem to significantly affect this view. Some colleagues have said that working with him, they sometimes had to adjust to suit their needs, especially during outdoor scenes in hot weather. Kate Hudson had a memorable experience working with McConaughey on Fool's Gold, with filming taking place under the harsh tropical sun. After the first few scenes, she reportedly tried to find natural deodorants to suggest to her co-star. However, McConaughey maintained his stance, arguing that masking natural body odor somewhat diminishes authenticity. Hudson later jokingly shared that she had to carry mints more often during filming, not necessarily for health reasons, but as a way to help herself feel more comfortable while acting. However, this story is mostly recounted as a fun behind-the-scenes anecdote, reflecting the differences in personal habits among actors on set. Cameron Diaz once drew public attention for sharing her rather unconventional views on body care, particularly her habit of not using deodorant for extended periods. The star of Charlie's Angels believes that sweating is a natural mechanism for the body to regulate itself and doesn't necessarily need to be completely controlled by products containing many chemical ingredients. Therefore, she chooses a simpler approach, accepting the natural state rather than trying to interfere too much. In her lifestyle choices, Diaz also emphasized that she doesn't focus too much on constantly changing outfits unless absolutely necessary, prioritizing comfort in her daily life. This perspective sometimes contrasts with the polished image often seen in the entertainment industry, where appearance is always paramount. While filming Charlie's Angels, Co-stars like Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu reportedly made lighthearted comments about this habit, even suggesting she try other natural methods. However, Diaz maintained her personal stance, believing that every body has its own balance and doesn't need excessive adjustments. Behind the scenes, the costume team sometimes had to be flexible in scheduling filming and preparing costumes to ensure visual continuity, especially in extended action sequences. Despite this, Cameron Diaz maintained her consistent lifestyle, viewing it as part of her philosophy of embracing naturalness and comfort. Jennifer Aniston is said to have a habit of drinking quite a lot of coffee every day, and the impact of that isn't just limited to boosting her personal energy. It sometimes affects the atmosphere on set. Some colleagues have jokingly commented that her caffeine-fueled energy seems to spread everywhere, sometimes requiring the filming schedule to be adjusted to accommodate her familiar routine. In close-up shots, Jason Bateman once shared jokingly that he had learned his lesson after several collaborations, realizing that Aniston's coffee break scenes were sometimes more unpredictable than usual. On one occasion, he even suggested pausing for a break, creating a lighthearted moment that made everyone laugh. To adapt, Bateman often prepares simple items like mints to use between takes. Meanwhile, Aniston views coffee drinking as a familiar part of her work schedule, even joking that morning shoots deserve coffee sponsorship to maintain her energy levels. Despite these amusing anecdotes surrounding this habit, the atmosphere on set remains professional. Crew members gradually become accustomed to her distinctive energy, viewing it as a unique personality rather than a hindrance, and everything continues in a relaxed and cheerful spirit. Joan Fontaine. Her dressing room at RKO Studios was once described as having a rather unique atmosphere, reflecting the unconventional lifestyle of the Oscar-winning actress for Suspicion. Fontaine reportedly viewed bathing as a personal choice, even somewhat different from the strict standards of Hollywood at the time. She believed that limiting the use of soap and scented products helped her body maintain its natural state. According to some behind-the-scenes accounts, she openly stated that going without water for several days was perfectly normal for her, and she didn't see it as something to change. This viewpoint sometimes created awkwardness in the work environment, especially during long, continuous filming periods. This story became even more frequently mentioned when she collaborated with Alfred Hitchcock on Rebecca. Some crew members reportedly had to flexibly adjust their working positions or utilize more open spaces to maintain comfort. The team also tried various methods such as changing filming schedules, increasing ventilation, or expanding the space to ensure production progress was not affected. Meanwhile, Laurence Olivier and some colleagues chose to maintain a professional attitude, focusing entirely on their acting rather than paying attention to external factors. The costume department and production assistants also had to constantly adjust costumes and the working environment, helping everything run smoothly even under less than ideal conditions. Clark Gable is considered one of the most iconic figures of Hollywood's golden age, with his signature smile captivating audiences on screen. However, behind that perfect image lay long-standing dental health issues that sometimes affected the experience of working with him on set. When he took on the role of Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, his gum and dental condition had become quite serious, partly due to his smoking habits and inconsistent oral hygiene over many years. This forced him to wear dentures for much of the film afterward. According to some behind-the-scenes accounts, these dentures were sometimes uncomfortable during filming. Vivian Leigh, his co-star in the film, confided to Family that some close-up shots required a certain degree of adaptation, even though she always maintained a professional demeanor in front of the camera. To ensure efficiency, the crew flexibly adjusted the filming schedule, arranging intimate scenes at more suitable times. The makeup and behind-the-scenes teams also implemented various small solutions, such as using subtle fragrances to create a pleasant atmosphere for the actors during extended filming sessions. Despite these behind-the-scenes stories, the film was completed with impressive quality, and these details are now just interesting anecdotes rarely mentioned in the history of classic cinema. Thank you for watching my video. If you found today's content interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss my next videos. Your support is a huge motivation for me to continue creating more great content. See you in the next video.